Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Rod, your happy hippie, and I'm here to do a video entry for the thread going around A through Z. I've seen Chris, the Blues Guy Vinyl, do one, and David Newton, and I forget who started it. Anyway, it's like it says, A through Z, your favorite albums. So I'm going to jump on board, turn this just a little bit. And of course, I'm going with AC/DC. Favorite band, starting with A. Don't have to tell you anything about AC/DC. We all know about AC/DC. My favorite years of the band were with Bon Scott, and this is a wonderful album. AC/DC for A. B was kind of tough because you got the Beatles, Chet Baker, but I'm going with David Bowie, and this is a Japanese pressing of his album Heroes. This is a beautiful, beautiful copy. Sounds incredible. David Bowie, again, nothing needs to be said about him. Everyone knows David Bowie and what a genius he was. In fact, I just watched the movie The Man Who Fell to Earth over the last couple of days. Kind of a strange movie, and it's kind of outdated, you know, the special effects, but I'd never seen it. And I watched it, I believe it was on Amazon Prime. So, C was another one. It could have been Alice Cooper, it could have been a few different people, but I'm going the band I've been listening to since junior high school, Crosby, Stills, and Nash, for C. D was difficult. I thought about Deep Purple. That's one of my favorites. There's so many, but I'm going with the jazz great Miles Davis. I don't own a lot of his albums. I think I have two. This is a reissue on 180 gram. Very nice sounding album by Miles Davis. A, B, C, D, E. E. Steve Earle. My man Steve Earle. He's one of my favorite solo artists. Bob Dylan, Steve Earle, Johnny Winter, all in my top favorite solo artists. Bob Dylan's also one of my favorite songwriters. Steve Earle, born in Virginia, raised in Texas, and now he's living back in Tennessee. Now F, again, was kind of a difficult one. And I'm going with Fleetwood Mac. This is the Bare Trees album. This is before Stevie Nicks. I like Fleetwood Mac a lot. I prefer the early stuff, but I also like the Stevie Nicks years. So I'm going to show two different albums from Fleetwood Mac because it's like two different Fleetwood Macs. So Fleetwood Mac is F, and G, if you've ever watched my channel before, you probably know what's coming up for G. The Grateful Dead debut album. This is a reissue, not an original copy. H. Who else but Jimi Hendrix? An incredible, incredible gifted guitar player. Again, this is someone I don't have to say anything about. Jimi Hendrix. H. I. I'm going with one I don't see a lot of in the VC. The Iron City House Rockers. Joe Krashecki was the main force behind this band. I want to say these guys were out of Cleveland. I was thinking they were a New Jersey band. This one's still sealed, by the way. Iron City House Rockers. I'm gonna, I haven't opened this the whole time I've had it. I think I'm going to break down and open it. I remember seeing these guys on the television show Solid Gold, and they were pretty cool, kind of a East Coast rock and roll band. But Iron City House Rockers, J could only be for Janis Joplin. A reissue, The Nice Price, remember those when they were out? Janis Joplin's greatest hits. For J, K, my favorite band without a doubt that starts with a K, The Kinks. Ray Davies, Dave Davies, incredibly cool rock and roll band. Just straight up rock and roll, British blues influenced, but they're just. I love the Kinks, man. I can't speak highly enough about the Kinks. That brings us to the letter L. And for me, I love Led Zeppelin. I think they're great. I love Lyle Lovett. He starts with an L, but I'm going with Little Feat. And these guys are out of San Francisco, but they had or is it Los Angeles? I know it's a California band. Probably Los Angeles. Yeah, I think. I misspoke. It's Los Angeles. They had a huge cult following in the D.C. area where I grew up. Like, huge. Little Feat, my favorite band probably. That begins with L. Besides maybe Led Zeppelin, but everybody's going to show Led Zeppelin, which I don't blame them because they're a great band. It brings us up to M, and this is an album. This is a lady I've shown many times, Melanie. I absolutely love Melanie, and this has got a really cool label on it. Melanie, great singer-songwriter, folk singer. I love the stuff she did at Woodstock. Can't speak highly enough about Melanie. And as I said, I was raised in D.C., and so now that we're at the letter N, I got to go Nighthawks. The Nighthawks out of Washington, D.C. Band's been around forever. In fact, I think they're still playing in some form or another. Mark Zawilski, he was an old friend of mine. Mark Winter and Jim Thackeray led up this band. Hard Living, great. This one's more rock and roll, but they were a blues rock band. They got a lot of respect from a lot of musicians. Jack Haw from Wet Willie was a part of the band back in the 80s. Unfortunately, they never recorded anything together, but he spent a couple years with them. I got to see him in concert in that incarnation. The Nighthawks, I used to have almost every album they had, and I lost them all. And I've told the story of how I lost my album collection, and I just recently managed to score a copy of this off of Discogs. The Nighthawks, my favorite band that starts with an N, and the second favorite that starts with an N would be NRBQ. That brings us up to O. Asabasa. I'm going to butcher this name. I heard Mazzy say it the correct way, and I just can't pronounce it, man. Osabisa. Is that right? Somebody tell me. This, if you're not familiar with it, is an incredibly cool African psych, jazz, fusion, rock band. If you think of what Carlos Santana did with the Latin influences to rock and roll, these guys did it with the African sounds. And some of it kind of borders into psych, it seems like. Fusion of jazz and rock and just a lot of drums, or maybe a reggae feel. Excellent band. I was lucky enough to just have this Billy fall into my lap, basically. So I'm lucky to have that one. That brings us to P. P. Pink Floyd. Yeah, Adam Hart Mother. One of my favorite, this and Animal is my favorite Pink Floyd albums. Pink Floyd for P. I think it brings us to Q. Queen. I don't have a lot of Queen. In fact, this is the only Queen I have. It's in horrible shape, but it's a great album. Sheer Heart Attack. Queen for Q. Q for Queen. And that brings us to R. And again, if you know me, you watch my videos, R could only be the Rolling Stones. World's greatest rock and roll band. World's greatest rock and roll band. S. Supertramp, I could have really leaned towards Supertramp on this one, but this is someone I've been listening to since junior high school. I'm going Bruce Springsteen for S, The River. This is a great album, and I picked this one because it came out while I was in junior high school. Double record set, but it's not a gatefold. That always threw me when I was a kid. Like, how could it be a double record set and not be a gatefold? Springsteen, S. T. Talking Heads were right there. In fact, I almost pulled a Talking Heads album, but I'm going with Jeff Tweedy. Jeff Tweedy. This was a Record Store Day release. Of course, you know Jeff Tweedy. He's the front man of Wilco. He was half of Uncle Tupelo. And speaking of Uncle Tupelo, they're you. For you, I'm going Uncle Tupelo. Great album, no depression. If you like the indie country, kind of Americana, just rootsy, kind of folky country, check this album out. No Depression by Uncle Tupelo. It is good. I'm talking a solid album. And also for you, I'm going to do an honorable mention. Utopia, my boy Todd Rundgren. That brings us to the Mr. Van Zant, Townes Van Zandt, Texas singer-songwriter, the late Townes Van Zandt. W, you know me. If you do, you know it's going to be Johnny Winter. Third Degree. This was his last album on Alligator. He made 3 albums for Alligator, and this was number 3. The late Johnny Winter, my favorite slide guitar player. And like I said, him and Steve Earle and Bob Dylan, and I guess he leads the pack, are all 3 my favorite solo artists. Now X, I didn't have a band starting with X, but I've got this soundtrack, and on this soundtrack is XTC. So, for the letter X, I'm going with XTC from the soundtrack, Times Square. That brings us down to Y. Why does it? Because it just does. The letter Y. Why not? Neil Young, Harvest. Nothing needs to be said, Mr. Neil Young. And that brings us to Z. Very easily could have been ZZ Top. But I'm going with Frank Zappa, because I like him just a hair more than ZZ Top. My man Frank, the late Frank Zappa. And that was, you notice, I was able to get every letter. I may not have had an album for every letter. That's a hard thing to do, guys. Search your album collection, wreck your brain trying to figure it out, come up A through Z. Kind of a fun little thread. Like I said, I don't know if I said this or not, but I saw David Newton and Blues Guy vinyl. both do a video on this. Appreciate everyone watching. Hope everyone's having a great, whatever it is for you, day, night, morning. And don't forget, guys, I'm having a poster giveaway. This one I pulled out just happens to be from the Rocky Horror Picture Show. They're all the little small posters, come in these tubes. All of them are new. They've never been used, never been hung up. I've got several different ones. This is the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I've got 2 Tom Pettys. I had a Dora the Explorer, but there was a little 3-year-old girl who happened to be my granddaughter, and she kind of staked a claim to it. Rocket Man poster, Elton John from the movie Rocket Man. So if you're into this and you want a poster, look at my previous video, the Great Poster Giveaway. In that video, I'm going to show all the posters I have. You don't have to make a video or nothing like that. You just have to be a subscriber. Like the video. Tell me in that video in the comments what poster you'd like. And next Tuesday, a week from yesterday, I'm going to pull the names out and divide them up. Try to give everyone what they want. I've had a couple people ask for a Rocky Horror Picture Show. So I may have to flip a coin. I may let the first person I draw out pick which one they want. Whatever. Anyway, guys, be good, be safe, take care of yourselves. Please like and subscribe this video. If you want a poster, go back to my last video. Let me know that. Y'all be good, man.